If you're a small church that's relying on word of mouth to get people to come to your church and check you out, there may be something you're missing in your word of mouth strategy. I'm going to share with you some things to look for when you're determining why people aren't coming to your church. And if we haven't met before, my name is Justin Nava. I'm founder of Nava Church Marketing and this YouTube channel, obviously. I've got a free website training, so as you watch this and you maybe find some red flags on your own website, free training down in the description. You can click on it. There's no sign up, no pitch at the end. This isn't a webinar to sell you something. This is me providing the best stuff that I have that we've seen work to turn website visitors to in-person guests. And so after you watch this video, go click on that because I want to see your church be known and I want to see people see the best first impression of your church. And oftentimes that's going to happen online. Now, a lot of pastors that I talk to from small churches, they tell me that, people check them out because of word of mouth. My next question when they hear that is often met with no answer because they just don't know. I ask, how many people visit your website versus actually visit in church? And they get, I don't know. When we dig into the analytics of brand new clients, before we've done any work for them, what we typically find for a small church, around 75 to 125 people, they're getting anywhere from 300 to 500 website visits per month. And a couple stats stand out. Number one, they're getting 1 or 2 families a month. So less than 1% of their website visitors actually become in-person guests. And at a small church like that, most of your visits are going to be first-time visitors, not returning people like your church members. Because as a small church, there's just not that much going on your website. And that's okay. Most of those are going to be first-time users. So you want those first-time users to plan a visit or show up on Sunday. So if you could just double that number, by the way, you could see more people coming to your church. And that's a huge number for small churches. The reason why you have so many first-time guests, even as a small church, is because people are searching for churches, but also as your congregation lives out their life, lives out their faith, and people are like, I might want to check out this church, or maybe your congregation just invited someone to church. They're not just going to show up randomly on a Sunday morning. Even if your congregant says the most amazing church invite that includes perfect directions that the guest memorizes, they're still not going to show up most of the time without visiting your website first. And if they visit your website and they see something that doesn't load well, something that doesn't communicate your church well, something that sounds completely outside of them understanding or feeling understood, they're going to say, yeah, you know what, that sounds nice. And I'm sure John's a nice guy going there, but I don't think I'll fit in here. And so what you want to do is actually double check, is your website rejecting guests? If you can get your website bounce rate down, that's the number of times people come to your website and leave without doing anything. Imagine on a Sunday morning, someone walks into church, turns around and walks out, doesn't sit down, doesn't shake hands, doesn't go past the foyer. All right? That's what a bounce rate is. Most of the church websites, when we come in for the first time, it's around 70%. Imagine 70% of people on Sunday morning walking in and walking out without setting foot in the sanctuary or shaking someone's hand, right? That's what's happening on your website. So those are vital analytics that you should check out. But how do we know how do we decide or how do we spot what is getting people to leave? Number one is your website loading fast? Is your website loading within 1.7 seconds? That's the ideal. Maybe with a word of mouth, you can have up to 3 seconds, but you want your website loading fast. So here's one of our client sites. Boom, it's already live, right? Just doing a quick refresh. That's about how live it's gonna load. And right when I come up here, I've got a message that tells me what this is. It's a church in Florida City. I'm in Florida City. Live better, love better. I want to live better and love better, right? This is their website beforehand, and it looks just kind of like every other ministry, right? Welcome to First Deliverance Baptist Church, right? Tune in and watch Pastor Victor Hickson. And there's a lot of stuff going on here. It's a lot. Okay. This is the old site before we took over, from a few years ago. So you can see here that we're loading fast, we're always reliable, and we're nurturing people to take an action. We want them to plan a visit, right? And you'll see we still have the same content, but it's much more pleasing, much more well-designed, and of course loads much faster. When we took over this page, I think they were around a 70-something% bounce rate. Now we've got them down to 30%, which is pretty much gold standard. You're not going to get everyone, but if you can get at least 2/3 of people sticking on your site, that's a great number. A lot of people pay a lot of money to get that number. So you want to make sure that people are actually staying on your site, they're scrolling, they're clicking through. And when you change your website like this, you'll see people actually going through and checking out your church. We have record numbers of people watching the live stream, record numbers of people donating to this church, and record numbers of people coming to this church. Before we started working with them, Pastor Victor told me they get about 3 guests a month. Earlier this year, he reported to me they were getting about 30 a month. This church is on the move. God is doing a lot of things in this church. And, all your website should do is say, here's how we understand you. Here's how we help you. And obviously, here's where Jesus is in your journey. So that's how you can tell whether or not your word of mouth is actually working. You have people coming to church, but also you have people checking out your website, staying on your website, and actually using your website as a step in their path to your church. Because again, and I'm telling you, I see this all the time. Even when I give my pastors my card, they dial my phone and make sure that's my phone number. They text me. They go to the website to like double check my social media, right? It even happens right there in front of me. They don't even realize they're doing it. And it's happening when you do a direct mailer. It's happening when you promote a Facebook post or do a Facebook ad. People are checking out your website to validate who you are or who your congregant said you were. So if your website's not up to snuff, you have a lot of work to do. And if you do get it optimized appropriately and looking good, you will see more people coming to church. Even if you change nothing else, just the number of people that are naturally coming to you, that the Spirit is calling to God. They see your website, they see where they can fit in, they see what Jesus can do for them through your church, they will come to your church, right? And that's what this training is, how to turn website visitors to in-person guests. So we're at the end of this video, so click that one down below, watch this free training, get your website up to par, and you will see more people come to your church to hear the gospel and be discipled. That's what this is all about. This is not about getting butts in seats. This is not about pleasing your pastor with a pretty site or pleasing your elder board with a pretty site. This is about kingdom impact, and that's what this training is for. So I appreciate you guys. Don't fall into that word of mouth fallacy trap. Make sure you're using word of mouth, but you're also backing up what you're doing with word of mouth, because the last thing you want to do too is have your church member invite someone and they're like, nah, dude, this doesn't look like for me. This looks like I'm just going to get preached at and turn and burn. This looks like the church that I was heard in growing up. Right? You don't want that. You want people to see what Christ is doing in your church. You want them to say, I want that. And that's what this training will do as well. So thank you guys for watching. Like this video if you found this helpful. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear what you're struggling with so I can help you guys on this YouTube channel. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you all in the next video. God bless.